Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to Farming Simulator 2017, and welcome back to Lone Oak Farm. So, this is the grass field that I was working in during our last episode. This is the one that I did off camera. This one is, I think, probably about half again as big. So I got the Primos working, which is the Krona pellet maker. You can make hay pellets, you can make straw pellets, and if you look, well, we can hop in here. We have 72,000, almost 73,000 liters of pellets. In fact, let me drive. We're going to go sell these right now. Let me drive and I'll tell you how I did it. And while we're driving, I can also show you some other things, because we're going to sell our pellets today. And we're going to do a little spraying. So what I did in this field over here is I put the Krona Big M mower on the field on a worker on course play, and I think it's, what did we say, it's 11 meters. The spread on the Big M is 11 meters, and then the spread on our tedder is 13.2 meters. So I set the Krona around first on course play, and I was working in the other field because we still had hay on the ground over there. I sent the Krona in first, the Big M in first, then I sent the tedder in on a worker, and then this was my plan. And this is what we're going to spray to. We're going to spray our beautiful yellow canola, and also probably our sunflowers as well. We're going to take a look at those when we get up over the hill here. So I sent the rake in on course play, right? And the thing about the rake is once it goes through, all the crop is now, it's rode up, obviously. So the center of that course play course is sort of what counts, if that makes sense. So I generated a course play course for the rake, and then I sent the pellet maker in immediately after it started, because the pellet maker goes so slow. I was not worried about it overtaking the rake, and it didn't. It just very slowly worked and worked and worked. Oh, this thing. Slides. That's all it did. It just worked and worked and worked. And while that was working, I finished the other field, and then I jumped in the square baler, and I started coming at that field from the other end, because by then the rake was done. So I let the pellet maker basically just work the lengths, and I used the square baler to bale up everything from the headlands. And I'll tease it out, then I'll do the big reveal. But we got a little save game right there. We got some bales. Now, unfortunately, they're hay bales. They're not worth a lot of money. So we're going to see what we get for these. We are $265,000 in debt right now. I hope this car stops for me. We're $265,000 in debt. I have no doubt that harvest is going to take care of that nicely. Oh, also the silage bales that we made, or the grass bales that we wrapped, have fermented into silage. And we need to figure out what we want to do with them, because we have choices. We can bring them down here to the barn and just sell them and just get money for them. Or we can take them to the VGA and sell them, get the same money for them, but we would also get then, we'd be making digestate, so we'd have a little bit less to buy. However, remember where the barn is, kind of all over the road. However, we have the slurry mod. We have a slurry pump down at the animal market, which, the reason I put it down there instead of at our barn is I feel like if you were an animal market, you would have a ton of animal waste to deal with. So, you know, always trying to keep it fair and keep it realistic. But regardless, we can buy slurry, and I think it's like $800 for a tanker full. So it's not terribly expensive. And I guess I'm asking, is it worth the hassle? That's not what I wanted. Is it worth the hassle to take it down to, how do we want to do this? This does have a pull-through, but I don't know what kind of space we have on the other end. Let's try to, let's do this. Let's see how close it needs to be to recognize the tip on the back. And then we'll just pull this one out and drop it. You know what I mean? We'll get it out of the way. Oh, you know, it does this periodically. My, come on. Yeah, this is a complete mystery to me. It won't go in reverse. Let me try saving. I don't know. It's been doing this, and I don't know why. No, I don't want to quit. Maybe just, I don't know. Walk over here. Yep, that's all I can do. I can walk over there. How about now? No. Can I turn it off? I think this has something to do with Gearbox. Is this enough room for me to turn around? Oh, life on the farm without reverse. Are you going to be able to turn around here? So let's try it this way. We'll go up front and we'll tip to the side. Right. Oh, this is so hokey. Okay, so there's one. Oh, that's some good money. Beautiful. How do we do? 50 grand. Perfect. Can you get reverse yet? No. So put the cover back on. Pull up here and try this one. Hopefully. $46,000. Beautiful. Right, so let's cover back on. Let's go to the bank and let's pay some money back. Let's pay back $75,000. Let's pay back $80,000. Make it a nice round number. Right. So, and I'm going to try to figure out how to get reverse back. I have a bunch of the Gearbox functions added to my joystick, which I also use as the control for front loaders and wheel loaders and that sort of thing. And since I'm kind of out of buttons on my gamepad, I thought it made sense that I could make reverse one of the top buttons on my flight stick. And every now and then it just stops seeing any of the Gearbox commands. It sees everything else, like it sees, I also have GPS configured on there, because it's got buttons all over it, so why not use them, right? And it just stops working, and then it comes back, and I don't know why it goes away, and I don't know why it comes back. It's just one of those things. But I'll try to do the whole episode without backing up, maybe. Think we can do that? Oh, it's always something. It's always something. We've also got, did I say this? Yeah, our silage bales, our grass bales have fermented into silage. And we've got 50 of those. They're worth about $2,000 a piece. So that's 100 grand. So right now, we're 190,000 in debt. So as always, grass is going to save us. Because if we do another grass harvest, regardless of what we get for crops, if we do another grass harvest, we should easily be able to pay off the rest of that debt. We'll have enough available to borrow, whether we paid it off or not. We'll have enough available to borrow, because we're going to have to either, well, I don't know how I feel about buying it, but at the very least we will have to lease a sugar beet harvester and a combine harvester. So we'll figure that out when the time comes. Right, so I'm going to get this parked up, and if I can't get, if I can't get reverse figured out, then what I'll do is, right quick, save and quit, and then restart and just edit the two together. Like as if you wouldn't even know it happened. But I got to show you something first. And I told you I use the auto load on that trailer. That Flegel trailer pack is awesome. It's got the universal auto load. I do use that, but I can't stack bales manually. I got some skill. Check this out. Oh, and everything's put away except that dolly. I left that up because we're using the trailer. You ready for this? Oh yeah, manually. A little bit ugly, but I got them all up there. 4 high. Also, these ridiculous things weigh, it's 8,700 liters of hay. They weigh 1,500 pounds apiece. So, let's see if we have reverse. We do not. What do you want to do? Let's, you know what, since we're here in the barn, and we got nothing going on, let me just go right here. I'll be right back. Right, the mechanic came out, took a look at it, and we have reverse again. Fantastic. So, let's take this out. Now, we'll see how this goes. We will see how this goes, because this is not a gimme, as they say. It's going to take a little caution, because this is a more realistic truck, and I believe it's a more realistic trailer also, and it is seriously overloaded. So if we can get this down there without tipping it, well, that'll be awesome. And I believe these will get about 1,000 a piece. So we should get 36 grand for this, and that'll put us down near 150, I believe. About 150,000 in debt. So that's better. And we will definitely have to borrow money to lease harvesting equipment. But I believe between the sunflower and the canola, I think we're going to be okay. And as far as sugar beets, we planted these 2 huge fields, and I don't even know what we're going to get for them. I really don't. Oh, look at this thing flopping around. I know that some of the farm track from here to the highway has some significant side hill on it, so curious if we can do this. I think we can. So I'm a little disappointed, and I considered keeping these because we will be getting cows, but I thought we're going to have another grass harvest between now and when we get cows because we don't have any money. So there's no point keeping these and then selling the next ones. Let's sell these now, you know, bird in the hand, and we'll worry about what we're going to feed our cows when we actually have enough money to get cows. All right. Carefully. And if I do flip this thing, I don't know, I'm probably just going back to a save game. I don't feel like picking these things up by hand. Alright. Doing okay so far. I'm loving this map. BulletBill really killed it. And Frontier Designs, I mean, I don't know if you know, this is how I understand it to be. As always, if I'm wrong, somebody let me know. I'm just telling you what I think I know. BulletBill is the guy from did Coldborough Park, and Oxygen David is the guy that did Shellington, which are 2, I think, just awesome and classic British maps. And then recently, BulletBill did the West Coast, which is phenomenal. One of the best maps I've ever played. I can't say it's really a map that I really liked. I mean, technically, it's as good as anything that he does. It just wasn't 100% my style of map, but I really, really respected the quality of the work. And then right about that same time, Oxygen David did Oakfield, which is another phenomenal map, and that I did like quite a bit. And to clarify, like when I say that about the West Coast, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not like one of my favorites. Like Coldborough Park is and always will be one of my favorites, even with the traffic that's trying to kill you. It's just an amazing map. West Coast is an amazing map. It's just not, not something that I enjoy as much as I enjoy like what I'm on right now, Lone Oak. This is fantastic, and it's such a skill that a map maker has that it's not just like the actual technical functioning of the map. It all has to work properly, right? Yeah, of course it does. But then on top of that, it's got to have a feeling, and that's when you get into like artistry almost. I hope I'm not overstating this, but yeah, it's a form of artistry because it's how a map feels, like this little boggy patch over there. Trying to think of some things from the little churchyard in Oakfield. Let's see if we can get up out of here. Come on. There we go. Some of the views in Coldborough from when you're at I know there's 3 farms, they have 3 names, but I want to say the sort of main farm, the central farm up on the hill there, some of the views from there, the views in the West Coast, they're just, this thing, the little fruit cart, lunch, whatever, the flow of a map, how long it takes to drive from one place to another, it's got to be just the right distance where you feel like you drove, but you don't get bored with it. Am I making sense right now? It's the feeling of a map, and this is like, I don't know, man. I don't want to overstate it, like I said, but this feels like artistry to me. This is amazing. So I'm loving this map, and I'm really grateful, I think is a good word for it. I'm grateful that I get to close out FS17 with a map like this. And there are a couple others, and we're doing Upton. We were and are doing Upton. And we're also going to keep doing Lone Oak all the way through till FS19, which I thought was going to be out in October, but now I'm hearing maybe November, December. So it's curious. But I feel really fortunate that we can kind of end on a high note, and I thought about going to a third map because we were doing Upton and Northstone, and then I brought this one in, and I gotta see how close we need to get to the door. Just about that close. How do we do? Looks like about 40,000. So yeah, 36,000. That's what we thought we'd get. Let's fold this up. And I'm not seeing. Yeah, they're all on there. Okay, I wanted to make sure all of our ratchet straps were off. Think we can make the turn. I don't know if we can make the turn. Let's try it. We can easily make the turn. So here's a question for you. Do we want to auto load? Oh, really? We were doing so good. Twice even. Fortunately, we have reverse again. Do we want to drive back and auto-load a bunch of round bales and bring them down here and sell them? That is the question. Because the only other thing we're going to do this episode is start spraying our fields. And I'll continue that off camera. No, we've made 2 trips down here. One with the tipper truck, one with the flatbed. Let's leave it at that. Right, so we'll hop in our sprayer. Do a little hey. Do a little spraying. Yeah, I'm loving this map. And I thought about a third because we brought this in as our third, but then we closed down Northstone. So I thought about bringing in a German map. And then we'd have 1 British, 1 American, and 1 German. So either German or Polish. I don't know, I'm on the fence about it, but that is a possibility. So we're going to take this, we're going to take this back and get it parked up. I know this is Oregon. I think I've said this before. I know this is Oregon, but this could just as easily be Western Pennsylvania, where I grew up, or Indiana, or Ohio, or really anywhere out through the Midwest. If you told me this map was in Ohio or Indiana or Pennsylvania, I wouldn't doubt it. Maybe not Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's a little hillier, the fields are a little smaller, but definitely Ohio and Indiana. So I think I know where I'm going to start. And I did this deliberately. You know what I did with the tram lines to try to line them up from field to field. So that's going to be an opportunity to see if my plan actually is going to work. I think it might. And also this is going to be a slightly shorter episode. Because I know we went over an hour twice. And I don't mind doing those, but I know that's quite a bit to watch. And also, it's quite a bit to render. Those take hours and hours and hours to render. Like, seriously, like 12 hours of... I have 2 laptops. I've got what I think of as a production laptop, my gaming laptop, and then I've also got my utility laptop. And that's the one I do my rendering on because I don't mind if it's tied up. And, oh, it stays tied up. Alright. So we'll fill this thing, and that was the other reason I wanted to sell some bales. I mentioned I thought about keeping them for animal food for later. The pellets, obviously, we were going to sell, but I thought about keeping the bales for later. But we need money. We need to, like, buying this... liquid fert right now. You see when we pull away what we just paid for that. Yeah, that was $5,000. This is an expensive farm. Also, we're paying, I think, $7,000 a day to maintain all our equipment. So it's a big operation, yo. And I'm going to cut through the grass here if I can. Fit next to this tree. Sneak through here. Yep. So when Goldcrest Valley came out, base game map with FS17 almost 2 years ago, Proceed was not available straight up, and the way that, like, this has row crop tires on it, the way row crop tires work in this game, even if you have crop destruction and the the dirt control modules. If you're running row crop tires, you won't damage crops, and that lets you take a sprayer out into a field. But there's no base game tram lines, right? So you put the row crop tires in, and then you just drive through crop, and it never really, And by the time Proceed, I believe Proceed was available on FS15, but then it got updated for FS17. By the time it was available for FS17, there were mod maps available, and I had moved off Goldcrest, and I really never did another map with big square fields. But there is something really, just really cool about driving through a field of golden canola with your sprayer, and driving down your tram lines. It's very, very cool. And here we are. Oh, yeah. Right. Uh-huh. Sometimes, sometimes I'm really kind of pleased with the way things work out. Now, GPS, what say you? Let's turn this, turn that. Let's put this right here. Let's see how we do. Is that right down the middle? Looks pretty good. Here we go. Cruise control on. And we're spraying. Oh. Lift this up just a little bit. Lift it up just a little bit more. There we go. Oh. I've really been looking forward to this. As goofy as that sounds, I have been. And you know what? We could even do this. We can turn that off. We can turn that off. We can even turn that off. There you go. Beautiful. Now, next question is, how much fertilizer are we going to go through to do all these? We're probably going to spend 15 or 20,000 on fertilizer. Because wait until you see when we get into this canola field, it goes like back into the yonder land over there. I've seen in videos and in pictures, I've seen, like, I'm super pleased about this little tramline thing that I did here, right? This is nothing compared to what I've seen online. It's like, it's not crop circles or anything, but just the detail and the, like, the planning. Come on. The detail and the planning. Like, when I look at my fields, right, I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's pretty much a straight line, you know. It's not that complicated. It's just one straight line lining up with another straight line. Right? Well, cool your boots, princess. It's not that big a deal. But the things that I see online, it's like, Jesus, that is a big deal, man. That is unbelievable. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is what I've been waiting for. Seriously, like a year and a half I've been waiting to do this. Oh. Yeah, I'm a bit of a nerd. But you know what, man? It's the little things. It's the little things in life, and whatever it is that makes you happy, good on you, man. If you found the thing that works for you, good on you. I'm going to recenter that just a little bit. Now, in one of our sugar beet fields, well, we've got tram lines in 2 sugar beet fields, and they don't line up exactly all the way across. They line up about halfway across, and then they stop lining up. And I figured out what happened, because we were in the drill drill, sower, planter. I don't know what you call it when it's sugar beets, but whatever you call it, the sowing machine for our sugar beets was on semi-auto mode, I believe. Right, here we go. Oh, oh, was on semi-auto mode. And I think the way that works is, like when you slave it to the GPS, it pulls its count from the GPS row count. Like right now, if we bring up the GPS, you can see down toward the bottom where it says plus 19, plus 18, that's counting rows, right? So that's where the proceed draws its tramline calculation, is from that count, right? Well, when we put it on a worker, it's not using GPS, and I believe it bases it on how often the drill or the sewing machine lifts and lowers. And I think it can get a little bit out of whack. Well, obviously it can, because it did. But I think that's what happened. Because half of our rows line up and the other half don't. It's not that big a deal, but I'll know for next time. And of course, if you do it manually, or if you do it via GPS, it always turns out okay. Oh, I'm so happy right now. I know we're not going to get every square meter, but I'm okay with that. OCD is not too bad today. I'm not going to get all fired up about that. Now, if you can see in the middle, in the tram lines, in the actual tram lines, that's already fertilized, and the reason is because nothing has changed in there. To take away a fertilization state, I guess, something has to happen. A field has to be plowed or cultivated or seeded, or the crop has to grow one stage, and that takes it back to the lighter earth texture, the lighter dirt texture, to indicate that this field can have fertilizer applied to it. But if nothing happens, then I mean, technically it is fertilized because nothing happened to it. It didn't get planted. Right, and I think what I will do is just go down to the other end of the barley field, and then we'll call it an episode, because this is going to take a minute, and then we still have the sugar beet fields to do, and those aren't little. So we'll just go down to the end of the barley, and then we'll call it an episode. I think that's also going to give me an idea of how much fertilizer I'm going to need, because I'm comfortable saying it's going to be a lot. Now, I thought about loading up a tender and bringing it out here, but I don't think we need to do that. I think we're going to be okay. Now, normally I would hop over on that end row, but I think in the interest of simplicity, we're going to go right here. Because we're going to need to skirt around the tree. When we do that end row, we're going to need to go around the tree. The actual lone oak. The lone oak. So yeah, we're going to have a ton of crop, and we're going to have a ton of straw bales too. Thinking, well, we can do straw bales, we can do straw pellets as well, because we know the trick now. So all that we would need to do is, how would we do this? Well, if we put our combine harvester on coarse play, then whatever windrow the combine harvester leaves will be centered to the header. So if it's say it's a 18-meter header, then all the windrows, all the straw rows will be centered on 18 meters, and we can just put the pellet maker on the same course and it'll drive down the center and gather all that up while we do other things. So let's do that. When and if we get to that point, let's do that. And we'll make half pellets and half bales, because there's going to be a ton of straw coming out of this field. Ton of everything. I think sunflowers right down there, and I think canola is what's going to save us. So we should be just fine on money once we get through this summer. Right, and that is, okay, that works out, because that's approximately half a tank of fertilizer, of liquid fert, so that gives us some idea of how fast we're going through this stuff. Super. And there's some kind of racket going on outside my hotel room, so it's perfect timing. Right. Stop right there, set the brake. Folks, thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Farming Simulator 2017. We'll see you next time. Take care now.